Angel of the North is the UK's largest sculpture and one of the biggest angel statues in the world. Installed in 1998, it has become the Northeast's most famous landmark, seen by around 33 million people every year. Built from durable Core 10 steel, it weighs 200 tons, cost £800,000, and is designed to withstand extreme weather so it can stand for over a century. James Bond first appeared on screen over 50 years ago and has remained one of the world's most iconic fictional characters ever since. Created by author Ian Fleming in 1953, Bond quickly became the ultimate action hero, stylish, confident, and effortlessly cool. Over the decades, he's inspired generations of fans and cemented his place as a timeless symbol of adventure and sophistication. Cricket has been a beloved British pastime for centuries, becoming the national sport in the 18th century and later spreading across the world. By the mid-1700s it was played everywhere, from small village greens to grand estates, but the rules varied widely. That changed in 1835 when the newly formed Marylebone Cricket Club at Lord's created the first official laws of cricket, many of which still shape the game today. Despite its complexity, cricket remains a unique and deeply cherished part of British culture. The double-decker bus is one of London's most recognisable symbols, known worldwide for its bright red design. Its origins go back to 1829, when George Shillabeer launched a horse-drawn omnibus service from Paddington to the city. The idea quickly grew in popularity, and by 1855, the London General Omnibus Company was formed, creating the first official bus network for the public. A traditional English breakfast, or fry-up, includes classics like bacon, eggs, sausages, black pudding, baked beans, grilled tomato, fried bread and toast. Although cooking styles have changed over time, the core ingredients have stayed the same. The tradition dates back to the Victorian era, when people typically ate just 2 meals a day. For the wealthy, breakfast was a social occasion meant to impress guests, much like a formal dinner today. Fish and chips are one of Britain's most beloved traditions, hot, crispy, and best enjoyed with plenty of salt and vinegar, often eaten straight from the paper. For many people, they bring back memories of seaside trips, payday treats, or late-night suppers after the pub. The dish is so iconic that even Winston Churchill praised fish and chips, famously calling them the good companions. The Royal Observatory in Greenwich is world famous as the home of Greenwich Mean Time. The idea of a single global time standard was first proposed in 1876 by engineer Sandford Fleming, who pushed for a 24-hour worldwide clock. His concept eventually led to the International Meridian Conference agreeing that a universal day would begin at Greenwich midnight. By the 1930s, most countries had adopted hourly time zones, although regional differences still exist due to geography, distance and politics. The Houses of Parliament are one of the world's most recognisable buildings and have stood on the River Thames in their current form for nearly 300 years. As London's oldest royal palace, the site has been in continuous use since the early 11th century. After a devastating fire in 1834, the entire complex had to be rebuilt, a process that took around 30 years. Its most famous feature is the Clock Tower, home to Big Ben, while the Southern Victoria Tower rises 102 metres high and was once the tallest tower of its kind. A 15-metre flagpole on top flies the Union flag whenever Parliament is in session. Ice cream has long been one of Britain's favourite treats, enjoyed by people of all ages in countless flavours, shapes and styles. The first recorded English ice cream recipe appeared in 1718 in Mrs. Mary Eales's Receipts, marking its early popularity. Modern research even shows that eating ice cream activates the brain's pleasure center, the same area triggered by winning money or hearing your favorite music, which helps explain why it makes people feel so happy. Royal Jubilees give people across Britain the perfect excuse to bring out the bunting, hold street parties, and celebrate the life and reign of the monarch. Only two British monarchs, Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth II, have ever reached a Diamond Jubilee, marking 60 years on the throne. Queen Elizabeth II's Diamond Jubilee in 2012 saw more than 2 million people join street parties across the country. The celebrations included a huge Thames pageant featuring around 1,000 boats led by the royal barge Gloriana, as well as a major concert outside Buckingham Palace. King Arthur remains one of the most famous figures in British myth and legend, often described as the king that was and the king that shall be. Stories place him in the mythical city of Camelot, leading a round table of around 150 knights. Whether he truly existed is still debated, but many historians believe the legend may be based on a real leader named Arthur, or Arturus, who helped defend Britain against invading Saxons and other tribes during the 5th and 6th centuries AD. The Loch Ness Monster is one of the most famous creatures in British folklore, often described as a huge, dragon-like beast lurking in the depths of Loch Ness. Interest in Nessie grew in the 17th century, and reports continued into the 19th century, including an 1871 sighting by D. Mackenzie, who described a large object, wriggling and churning up the water. When this account later reached researcher Rupert Gould, public fascination with the monster surged, helping cement Nessie as a legendary figure in British mythology. The Mackintosh coat is a true British essential, perfectly suited to the country's famously unpredictable weather. Invented in the mid-19th century by chemist Charles Mackintosh, it was created by bonding rubber and naphtha between layers of fabric, a breakthrough in waterproof clothing. Early versions had issues, even melting in hot weather, but improvements came after Mackintosh's company joined forces with clothing maker Thomas Hancock. The result was the first reliable waterproof coat, and today the Mackintosh remains a classic piece of British outerwear that people rely on without a second thought. Opening its doors in 1948, the NHS is one of the oldest and iconic nationalised health service providers in the world. Held at its heart is the three core principles which have guided it to greatness: that it meets the needs of everyone, that it is free at the point of delivery, and that it is based on clinical need, not the ability to pay. The oak tree is a powerful symbol of strength and endurance across the UK. It's the national tree of both England and Wales, the emblem of County Londonderry, and even plays a role in Scotland, where oak barrels are used to mature Scotch whisky. Much of its appeal comes from its hardy, protective nature, with many famous oaks linked to stories of shelter and safety. Across the country, oak trees stand on village greens and in local parks, some of them centuries old. Having watched over generations, the oak holds a special and familiar place in British life. The British postbox was first introduced in 1852, just over a decade after the penny black stamp. The familiar bright red colour didn't appear until 1874, replacing the earlier standard green. After the 2012 London Olympics, several postboxes were painted gold to honour local gold medal winners. Today, postboxes are everywhere. Royal Mail estimates that over 98% of the UK population lives within half a mile of one, with around 115,500 boxes across the country. Many of them hold special meaning for their communities and each has its own little piece of local history. If there's one thing British people know how to do, it stand in an orderly queue. Renowned across the globe for our calm and good-natured queuing manner, it is a formation that comes naturally to the people of Britain. Established as a social norm in the early 19th century, Britain is believed to have gained its reputation for queuing during major historical events, including the Industrial Revolution. As more and more people gathered together in urban areas, the need for order was made apparent. Today, queuing is a part of everyday life. Whether you are out shopping, waiting for a taxi, or heading to your local chip shop, an orderly queue will be ready for you to join. The red robin, officially the UK's favourite bird, is a familiar sight in gardens, parks and woodlands, easily recognised by its bright red breast and cheerful song. Strongly linked with Christmas, it often appears on festive cards, though old superstitions once associated it with bad luck. Despite their cute appearance, robins are surprisingly fierce. Small in size but highly territorial, they won't hesitate to chase away any rival robins that enter their space. Stonehenge, in Wiltshire, is one of the world's most iconic prehistoric monuments, long surrounded by mystery. The site began around 3000 BC as a circular earthwork, and by 2500 BC it evolved into the remarkable stone structure we recognize today, built from massive sarsen stones and smaller bluestones. Tea is a beloved part of British life, enjoyed in any weather and on any occasion. Its popularity began with Catherine of Braganza, the Portuguese princess who married King Charles II and brought her love of tea to England. At first, tea was an expensive import from India, enjoyed mainly by nobles and the upper classes. As demand grew and imports increased, prices fell, allowing people from all backgrounds to enjoy a comforting cup of tea, a tradition that remains firmly rooted in British culture today. The Union flag, often called the Union Jack, is one of Britain's most recognisable symbols. It represents the union of the nations that form the United Kingdom, combining the red cross of St. George for England, the white saltire of St. Andrew for Scotland, and the red saltire of St. Patrick for Ireland. These elements were brought together in 1801 to create the flag we know today. You'll see it flying proudly across the country, including above Buckingham Palace when the monarch is not in residence. Villages are a defining part of British life. Small, close-knit communities where everyone knows each other and local gossip travels fast. Flash in the Peak District, sitting 463 metres above sea level, is often recognised as Britain's highest village. Villages also play a huge role in British popular culture, from fictional favourites like Emmerdale, Midsummer and Dibley to real-life locations such as Port Wen in Cornwall from Doc Martin or Runcorn from 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. It's hard to imagine Britain without the charm and character of the humble village. The World Wide Web, invented by Tim Berners-Lee in 1989, has transformed how we connect, communicate and share our lives. From the early days of noisy dial-up to today's superfast fiber broadband, it stands as one of the most influential inventions in human history. Since the first web page appeared in 1990, the online world has grown to include search engines, Wikipedia, social media and countless other tools, making it almost impossible to imagine modern life without the web. X marks the spot is a phrase steeped in mystery, with origins that remain uncertain. Although its first recorded use dates to 1813, many believe it's far older. The saying has long been tied to pirates, treasure hunters and explorers, symbolizing the exact point where hidden riches or important destinations can be found. Whether marking buried treasure on a map or serving as the final rendezvous in countless films, X marks the spot has become a timeless part of popular culture and adventure storytelling. Yeoman warders, often known simply as beefeaters, have guarded the Tower of London since 1485, when they were established by King Henry VII during the Tudor era. Over the centuries, they've become iconic symbols of Britain, appearing on souvenirs, pub signs and even lending their name to a famous gin brand. As of 2011, the tower had 37 yeoman warders and a chief warder. In 2007, Moira Cameron made history as the first woman to join their ranks after a long army career, and in 2009 the role was open to members of the Royal Navy for the first time. The zebra crossing, instantly recognizable by its bold black and white stripes, gets its name from its resemblance to a zebra's coat. It was introduced in 1949, with James Callaghan, then Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Transport, suggesting the name because it was simple and memorable. While zebra crossings often go unnoticed in daily life, one has become world famous. The crossing featured on the Beatles' Abbey Road album cover, now an iconic landmark in its own right.